The amount of hate or negative comments that I would receive as a police officer every time I posted a photo or a video at some restaurant when I was sitting down at a table, eating like everybody else, like a regular human being, was absolutely incredible. I would post photos and videos. Usually I was with my partner, PC Pappy, and that's what we would do. Instead of going through drive-through or takeout, we often would just go into the restaurant and sit down. And whenever I posted, man, the hate would come like a wave. I actually really enjoyed going into a restaurant and sitting down like a normal human being. There's nothing worse. You're trying to eat your lunch in a cruiser. You use a computer as a table, the drinks between your legs, there's stuff all over the place. You got to listen to your partner. It's terrible. You go into a restaurant, you sit down. It's an opportunity to engage with a crowd that you normally would not have had the opportunity to. There's always families, kids that want to say hi. They can't believe that the police officer's eating in a restaurant with them. It's the cutest thing going. If you go during the week, you get the lunch crowd, the people working, the businesses are grabbing lunch on the go or grabbing coffee. It's an opportunity to engage the public. So not too many people would say anything when we were there. Again, I was usually with my partner, PC Pappy, but you get the odd, bad look. But the comments, I bet you if I go back into my social media throughout the years and I look at the comments, I bet you there's thousands. Police have nothing better to do. And what's the most popular of all? This is where my taxpayers' dollars are going. I mean, give your head a shake. All right, well, let's think about this for a second. What's the alternative? Well, I kind of mentioned it briefly. The alternative is to go through drive-through or get takeout. Maybe you can take the food to the station and eat there, or you can find some parking lot in behind a factory where it's nice and quiet. And there's nothing wrong with that either. Listen, there's times, I've done it myself, it's busy or you've had a bad call and you need to go where it's quiet. You kind of need a little bit of a break. Maybe you want to catch up on a few things, make a few phone calls. There's nothing wrong with that. Every police officer is required to take a scheduled lunch or dinner. It's usually an hour or an hour and a half for a 12-hour shift. An officer has to book off for that time. They got to let the station or the dispatcher know where they are. They can go to the station and eat their lunch, or they can go to a restaurant. It's of no consequence to anybody if the police officer wants to go to the station or go to a restaurant. And I'll even say this, police officers, part of the job of a police officer is to engage the community. Every police officer is a community engagement officer. And if an officer wants to go to a restaurant and engage, again, with a community members that they would never have the opportunity to, then in an odd way, it's almost the job of a police officer. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They're under no obligation. And listen, I've had comments from police officers from different services in Canada, more the US though, who say, brother, listen, what you guys are doing, going out in public like that and eating, I wish our department would let us do that. They're actually mandated. They're not allowed to do that. But a lot of the officers, they want to do that because they understand that they are members of the community if they want to do it. So it's not a bad thing. In fact, it can be a very, very good thing. Sometimes when grabbing a coffee, instead of going through the drive-thru, I would go in, I would park the car, I'd go into the restaurant just because I wanted to connect. I wanted a human connection without them having to call the police. I wanted a human connection with somebody who was happy to see you and just wanted to interact. So I wanted to make a video about this because I'm often asked about it. I've spoken to police services right across the country on how I would deal with things internally and externally, and public perception and everything else. Policing, historically, I'd say, was very secretive in its operations and such, but times have changed and are continuing to change. Again, internally and externally. I'll take any opportunity I can to educate, and I don't mind getting into it every now and then. Listen, folks, thank you so much for listening. I hope this clears a few things up. I really appreciate you taking the time. Be safe out there. Look after one another, and perhaps we will see you again.